Welcome to the Fan Room, where we open the door to conversations about trauma, stress, race, and everything in between that happens to veterans before, during, and after military service. So grab a seat, sit back, and let's get to it. When you find out you're pregnant, we get underway, and then you just get real sick.
Get more sick.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get even worse, right? And it's to the point where it's like, yo, you need to go to an emergency room and, stuff like that. You was putting it off.
I wasn't putting it off. I was I was not able to keep any food down, really at all. And it was to the point where I think I was using lemons. So like anything that was a lemon flavored something, that kind of helped. But I couldn't drink water for whatever reason. Like I couldn't drink plain water. So I was toast if I could even tolerate that, and ginger ale, but barely. But it was to the point that when it started to get worse, I started spotting. So once I found out, the next morning I called the doctors, and of course, I have lovely military insurance, health insurance, so everything is paid for, and I go to my doctor is on the base, and so I call, and they're like, "Well, it's COVID, like, is this something that we can talk about over the phone?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't think it can be a virtual." They didn't even have virtual. They didn't offer it. It was like, do you need a telephone conference? Can you talk to a nurse? And I was like, no, I need to talk to a doctor because I'm really nauseous. And I just found out I'm pregnant. And I need to get on track to talk to an OBGYN so we can start scheduling. I really don't even know how far along I am because I wasn't really tracking, like planning to be pregnant. And so they did give me an appointment. But that was just with a primary.
Yeah. So in the midst of all this, we hype, right? We hype. We kind of excited. This was like finding out you was pregnant was like one of the best days of my life. I even told a lot of the sailors on the ship, like, yo, this is like one of the best days of my life, y'all. Like, it's crazy. My wife pregnant. That was like one of my goals, going to Cali was to have a baby. So I'm hyped. You hyped. We start thinking about names. Remember? We start thinking
about names.
And all types of stuff. And this isn't a matter of days. So, you get so connected, like so fast. You know what I mean? So we like connected. We thinking all types of stuff. We had so many conversations about this baby. You know what I mean? Like, so you find out, but you super sick. You trying to schedule an appointment, right? First, like to get OBGYN, period, right? Just because you just got pregnant, you trying to figure out what's going on. You can never get one. Right, it's not happening.
No, it's not happening. They, I get the vitamin pack, and I get some other type of medicine to help me with the nausea, because that's really what it was. I was having all day nausea, feeling dizzy and just nauseous all day. And first they gave me some like vitamins, and that wasn't working either. So nothing was working. And then one morning I woke up and I went to the bathroom and I was spotting. So. And spotting meaning that I started to bleed. So, in case somebody doesn't know, know, I was spotting, and I was, so I called my mom, and I was like very nervous about it. And I called the doctor. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, like, cause they pretty much told me there's no OBGYN appointments available here. Like, we're double booked. Like, with COVID, everything is so slow. They can't take as many patients. And so I need to go in town, meaning I need to go to an outside provider, but I would have to find a provider that actually takes my insurance, which takes TRICARE. And that was the hardest thing because so many people weren't accepting new clients. And so it was like, okay, this is not working out. Like it's not working. And so when I told them I was spotting, that was when they suggested that I could go to the military OBGYN, which is at the hospital at this point. So go to the hospital at Balboa, which is like the biggest naval clinic or hospital in San Diego, in the area where we lived. And so
it's a fun fact.
Yeah. right near the zoo. So
all right. So you went to the hospital. What did they tell you? What they tell you?
So I go to the hospital and you know, my stomach has a lump or a bump at this point. And I'm like, oh, well, it seems like, is this a muscle? I'm trying to figure it, talk to the doctor. I told the doctor, like, we had been trying, but not trying. And so it has been a while. I'm like, nothing,
you told the doctor?
Nothing happened. So I'm kind of excited, like, to find out about this baby.
So what happened? What did the doctor say, baby?
So the doctor,
I don't want to get too deep into the story because I plan on talking to you about this specifically in a separate, like in the podcast on Permission to Speak Freely when we get together with Damon and Ella. So I don't want this podcast to be completely about that pregnancy story. Just some of the highlights.
Well, let me shorten it up a bit. So, biggest thing happened. Had the head of the OB check me out. Told me that the pregnancy wasn't a viable pregnancy. They weren't able to find a heartbeat, and they had another specialist come in and also confirm that. And I also was told at that point in time that I had some fibroids that were growing massively, and so we just had to figure out, what to do moving forward.
Yeah. So they not only told you that the pregnancy wasn't viable, they also told you that you had fibroids. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of news in one day, right?
A whole lot of news that I was not expecting, anticipating. And honestly, I really didn't even know that much about fibroids and how dangerous they were and could be. All I know is that when I went to get an ultrasound, because then, at that point, they were trying to figure out the size of the size or time frame and based off of the size of my uterus. And so a lot of things were a little out of proportion because of how my hormones were growing, how my hormones were, the levels, and how it was impacting pregnancy. So the fibroids were kind of taking over and not giving the baby any room to grow. When we get the ultrasound, I just kept hearing people go, "Ooh, oh my goodness!" Like, and then they're like, "Okay, like we got the imaging," and so
yeah, that's pretty scary to be in the hospital and people saying, "Oh my goodness."
Yeah,
that made me lose 90 pounds before. They was doing that when I was checking my blood pressure before I got surgery on my knee. They was doing.
I guess they think they're being helpful because I'm like, "Is everything okay?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we're just we're seeing a lot of images, so they can't really tell you. They're not really supposed to, the doctor is supposed to review the information with you. But I told them, like, yeah, I know I have fibroids. I'm like, so I know they're there, and they're like, yeah, quite a bit of them. And so, that was that. Oh, you know what? There's like a big other part, and I think the fibroids or something had to do with it, but it wasn't not only spotting was not the only reason, but that was probably the most reason. But I also wasn't able to go to the bathroom. Mm-hmm. So there was two different things happening at the same time for me. I was nauseous, not able to go to the bathroom, and spotting. So
yeah, and everybody you talking to is like, yo, go to the hospital, right? I think my mom was saying it, right? She's worried about you. Yeah. Your mom, whoever you talking to, they like, yo, go get checked out. I think me. So they said you wasn't going to have a baby. And they said you had fibroids. Mm-hmm. And you were in pain this night, right? So was it Corinne took you? Was it Corinne who took you to the hospital this day, or was it your supervisor? Or?
No, it actually was myself. I think that probably was.
Oh yeah, that was the thing. That was like the thing. Like you took yourself.
Yeah, I had to drive myself. So it's like I needed to muscle up some energy to go to the hospital, and then, thinking about it, it's not an actual appointment that you're going to. It's an emergency. So at this point, you were. I was there and waiting for hours on end. Mm-hmm. And I think the next day I had to go back, but it was like, you can't eat because they need to take the ultrasound, but your bladder needs to be empty. So can't drink anything. You can't eat. So the next day, my supervisor, she actually, I drove actually to her, and then we went to the hospital. So
yeah. So how was the ride home that night when you were by yourself?
The ride home was definitely challenging. in terms of like, you know, being in so much pain and not being able to take anything, you know, not really knowing what, well, I guess the biggest thing is trying to figure out like what would be the next steps. And when you talk to a doctor and they tell you, you know, in terms of like when the pregnancy is not viable and what the next steps would be, you know, whether or not you're going to be able to have to take a pill, or do they have to do surgery or different things. It just seemed like I was at a higher risk because of the fibroids. But I still was in pain, at like a 9.5 or a 10. Like I couldn't sit down. I really don't even know how I drove, but for whatever reason, the driving wasn't the problem. Like when I was actually driving, I was okay. It was the stopping and the sitting and the waiting is where it felt. I could feel the pain a lot more because I was like actually being wheeled around because I couldn't really walk because the pain was so intense. It felt like shooting, like, or stabbing pains, like or spasms that was happening, and so.
So I'm asking you, how was the ride emotionally? Like, how were your emotions?
So emotionally, I feel like at the time, I don't actually think I completely stopped to process everything, because it was just so much going on in my mind and so much information at the time. And it's just like, oh my gosh, it's COVID. I'm by myself. You know, you get somebody to give you a folder with all of this information, and you're supposed to just retain it all. And I think a lot of it was, I don't want to say I was confused, but I think I was a little bit, I was sad. I was very sad about it, but I just kept thinking like, okay, like it's like all these things that I got to get done now at this point. And being in so much pain, I think when you go through any type of procedure or any type of thing that causes you to be in pain kind of impairs your judgment. Because you are only thinking about, or at least for myself, I was only thinking about like, how can I get this pain to stop? Because this pain is intense. They're like, oh, you know, you can get a Pepsi, you know, that's actually what the doctor told me. Go get a Pepsi, get some caffeine. You know, that could probably help. And I did. I wound up going after and getting a Pepsi. It helped slightly. But, you know, just knowing that you have to go back, and then finding out that I had to get a DNC procedure, which would be an emergency surgery, was I felt I was scared. I was very scared. And I was like missing my husband because it's like, Dad, like, you know, it's COVID. No one else can go in the rooms with you, but it's kind of like, okay, this is like a major surgery. Like, you know, people asking me my blood type, and telling me about blood transfusions. But I think some part of it, I was a little upset because the person who I was speaking with, the doctor that I was speaking with, wasn't really, wasn't as sensitive as I would expect an OBGYN to be. She was very like matter of fact. And she was making some suggestions that to me weren't the best suggestions, in terms of like giving me an option to clear my uterus on my own at home by taking some pills, which I later found out in the ER, they didn't want me to bleed or for my body to remove the baby or the fetus by myself, because I could have bled to death. So I think in that whole process, it's just so much going on. Like, it was a lot going on. You think like less than 7 days ago, I was finding out I was pregnant, like the best days of my life. And now it's like, okay, like I got to pivot from that and think about a big procedure I have to save my life. So.
Yeah. So the DNC. So you get the DNC. We found a way to get me to San Diego. My boy Damon dropped me off at the hospital just in time for you to get the DNC. I'm gonna let you stop me in a second. I was just about to say I'm gonna kind of speed through some of this story because we gonna talk about the whole year, and we still in January. But I'm
we
gonna let you stop me though. What was you about to say?
No, I was just gonna say it was not easy to get you here, and so that wasn't like an easy fit. It's not a normal thing that your husband is in the middle or out at sea, and he's flown out for your emergency procedure.
Yeah, they heloed me off. They had to helo me off, man. Shout out to my CMC and my chain of command, my captain, everybody. They had to fly me off. That was like the first time. Oh, matter of fact, no. I got to Japan. We had got to Japan, and I left like soon as we got to Japan. This is February now, right? So this February. So I left soon as we got to Japan. They heloed me when I went back. They heloed me back on.
Yeah, they wanted you back on there, but yeah.
So I came home. Your mom's was here, right? Your mom was here?
Yeah, my mom was here because she definitely, shout out to my mom. She came as soon as she knew, because it was almost like between Thursday and Friday, I was back and forth at the doctor's, and the surgery was going to be Monday. But I was in the ER. I was in the ER Saturday and Sunday. And so just trying to get stabilized because I was in so much pain and there was a lot going on. But they didn't want anything to happen prior to, and they couldn't give me the surgery earlier than Monday because they needed more eyes and they needed access to the blood bank. And they needed to talk to some specialists because I had some complicating things happening with where the fibroids were and where they needed to remove the fetus. And there was a lot of concern that with the fibroids that something could happen and it would be a lot of loss of blood. So.
Yeah, you call me crying. Like they want me to get a hysterectomy. They telling me that I might have to get a hysterectomy. And, at that time, I didn't even know. I talked to a lot of dudes, too. I'll be telling them, like, yeah, they told her about a hysterectomy. Dudes like, what's a hysterectomy? And that's, like, I didn't really know what a hysterectomy was either. Like, but I had to think about it. I'm like, well, that must be something to where she can't have, kids. I still didn't really know what it was. I found out later that it's, your uterus getting removed and stuff. But, like, I'm like, man, that must be serious. When you told me, he was like, man, a hysterectomy. I'm like, damn, a hysterectomy. And I still I ain't really know what it was. I'm like, dang, a hysterectomy? Like, but yeah,
that hysterectomy. And I mean, some women do wind up having to have a hysterectomy.
Yeah. But I called the doctor, right? And I'm like, yo, dude, like, this was like, because that was like right before they were supposed to put you under. I'm like, yo, dude, this was like, bad timing. Like, why would you... wait this long to tell her right before you put her under that, she might lose her uterus, man. He's like, yeah, it was bad timing. But I think that was after you woke up. But
it was before, because it was the anesthesiologist or.
Yeah, I'm talking about when I talked to him.
Oh, when you, that was after
you woke up.
Yeah.
So it's a whole lot to talk about when it comes to the pregnancy, and it come to the miscarriage, and it come to the DNC. And it come to the fibroids. So you leave I just want to make sure we are where we need to be. It's February, right? You leave the DNC still with fibroids, right? Okay. So we out of DNC is done. The baby stayed in you after we knew the baby wasn't alive for like how many days?
Maybe that might have been like 4 days.
All right, like 4 days you got your baby in you that we know is not alive,
days.
Right? That's crazy. Rough, right? All right, so this dude Saint is asleep, man, knocked out. So February, I'm home. We actually got to spend Valentine's Day together.
Yeah, February.
Well, first, man, you got out that car. When you got out the hospital and got to that car, it was almost like you had an open heart transplant or something, man. Like you just wasn't looking like, the you that I'm, used to seeing. I'm like, man, it's like the first time I got to see my wife, like looking like real weak like this. It was crazy. They, came down in a wheelchair. But mom's is home. I'm home. And we get to spend Valentine's Day together, right? Mm-hmm. How was that?
So that probably might have only been the silver lining of February. The beginning part of February, because of course the prior to that, of course, I had the surgery, and probably the most pain I've probably ever experienced in life.
Still.
Would be that surgery. Would be that period of time. So,
okay.
Just you know, when you start getting different levels of pain medicines and they're not working, and then they start switching you to narcotics and trying to figure out what they can do to level your pain because the pain is so bad. That's probably, and my threshold for pain isn't that high. I don't have any tattoos because I just can't take a little bit of pain. So,
well, I mean, a good thing about us sitting here talking is by the time we finish, whoever listening, they're gonna know your whole life.
So
you're gonna know your whole life, so, like your shortcomings, what you allergic to.
Oh yeah, all my allergies, yeah.
What you
all
you know,
that stuff.
your pain threshold.
All that good stuff. All that good stuff. Welcome to World of Angelene.
Yeah, this might just be a show in itself, man. So we out of January, right? So we are out of January. We're in February. It's Valentine's Day, right? How was Valentine's Day? It was the best. You said it was the silver lining.
So yeah, Valentine's Day was definitely a silver lining. I think Valentine's Day, I think from the whole time I was pregnant, I had finally been able to wash my hair, feel like a human again, like not, feeling so sick, because at that point my pain was somewhat managed. Yeah. And so I was doing all right. I still had some pain, but it was managed where it wasn't like consuming me completely.
How was Valentine's Day, babe?
Valentine's Day was awesome. Really good. Got some surprises. My husband really came through. Yeah. Really came through. I really felt loved and appreciated. I felt like it was good to hear my mom there to help us. It gave us some time to kind of be able to bond and just love on each other for the small period of time we had. We had somebody to take care of the dog and not have to worry, and cook and all that good stuff.
Yeah, they told us we couldn't get intimate. We gotta try to break some rules.
Try to break a little, do a little something.
I gotta go back to Japan, right? So I leave, right? I go back to Japan. I gotta go back. We actually had, I don't want to get too specific, like I said, into, this whole thing, but we had paperwork that could have got me to stay, which kind of comes into issues later that I'm, upset because I can't come back and, but I'm upset with you and some weird stuff like that because I can't come back even though my dumbass had the paper that I could have, came back with or stayed home with so I could, be with you throughout this period. But they fly me. I fly back to Japan, and Carol, so my homegirl. So first of all, when I first hit Japan, I hit Carol up because that's where she's stationed at, and I'm like, yo, Carol, we gotta, my first day in Japan, I hit Carol like, yo, Carol, we gotta chill, and it's kind of remembering like giving me a timeline. It was the same day that I got to Japan that you found out that the baby wasn't going to make it. So that same day, so I get to Japan, and the very next day, instead of me and Carol chilling, she's like just there while I'm like just not doing anything because I'm in this weird period, a limbo where I'm like, man, my wife needs me at home. Something happened with the baby. And I'm trying to figure out, when the flight information and stuff gonna come through, because they took care of me as fast as they could, and that's shout out to Rachel Peebles, my top sniper at the time. She actually took care of me. She knew I wasn't. She knew I was gonna say like no, I wasn't gonna go home. She's like, you need to go home, like So she actually took care of me, her and CMC or whatever. So that's a big shout out to her. Actually, when I left the ship, I actually cried talking to her. I actually cried. And that's not to say that we never bumped heads and stuff like that. That's how the Navy works. But she took care of me. Like when I needed her to take care of me, she took care of me. So I appreciate her for that all the time. So I'm back. I left. So me and Carol couldn't chill when I left because the moment I left, when I came back, the moment I got there, we found out about the miscarriage. So we can't chill. So while Carol thinking I remember because Gigi, Carol's sister, we on the phone, and she go to congratulate me for on a pregnancy. She said, "Hey, Damo, congratulations." And Carol like, Nah, Gigi. And Gigi like, for real? I'm like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, so fast forward, everything you said happened. I come back, and now it's like, I still couldn't chill with, my homegirl Carol because I had to quarantine. You know what I'm saying? So I'm quarantining. So but she even came through for me then. She came to get me. She came through for me. She came through for me again when it was time for me to leave. Because I'm pretty much now, I'm upset because I'm like, I'm going back pretty much to leave at this point, to lead a ship. You know what I mean? Because
the biggest thing is that we were in the process of the military moving our stuff. So we needed to, you needed to set that up. So that was already set up in terms of, them coming to pack all of our hundreds of boxes.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff, a lot of moving, transitional stuff happened that we never prepared for it to be like you doing it by yourself, so it was supposed to be us two. But Carol took care of me again, got me to the airport. I'm going to just speed through, for me. Well, anything else for February for you?
For February for me, we still at the top of February. So that we could still just stay there.
Well, I was about to talk about me leaving, so I don't have nothing else for February. That's what I'm asking. Valentine's Day for me, Valentine's Day for me was crazy. I think I went out of my way to get you what I think is one of the best gifts I got ever.
Yeah, diamonds are always a girl's best friend. Yeah, so I definitely wasn't anticipating that.
Damn, for real.
But it really brightened up my whole Valentine's Day mood. And the message was, the message. Not so much the gift. The gift, of course, the gift was amazing. My love language is that's one of my love languages.
Now they know your love language. I told you about the end of this.
So,
by the end of this, people.
But it was just a lot of meaning behind it. In terms of shining like a diamond, and it just in that period of time, I was working full time.
Uh-huh.
In grad school full time, and so I just had a lot going on. But even through all of that, I still was able to. My professors, shout out to them, they were great in terms of understanding the process, because during that process, I had to keep every day or every other day, not every day, but every other day, I had to drive back to the hospital. I had to get blood tests. They were checking my hormone levels because they were trying to figure out why they weren't going down. Mm-hmm. Because it was still showing that I was that I was pregnant, and
your hormones
and my uterus was still
super big,
super large.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, are you sure that you didn't do anything? I'm like, I'm not pregnant. We followed instructions.
We followed
instructions to I won't say to a T, but
definitely not to a T.
Not to a T, but I wasn't pregnant.
Probably to an S.
But I definitely needed medicine.
Was it Corinne joking my whole girl got a big uterus or something like that?
So shout out to Corinne. She's a great big friend. Uterus. I don't know anybody who Corinne was supposed to take me to the doctors on Saturday, because at that point I had no more energy for me to get a COVID test so that I can have my operation on Monday. And it wound up that when they did my vitals, I almost passed out because my pain threshold had exceeded itself. And I was so nauseous and so sick at that point that they had to admit me. And Corinne actually stayed. We got there at 9. And I didn't leave there until midnight.
Yeah. Corinna's so
top. She sat in her car because it's a military base, so she's not in the military. So of course she just can't leave. So she literally had to sit in her car, and get updates from me and kind of just wait, because I had no other way to get home.
Yeah, as far as my women friends, Corinna's number one, I think, undisputed. She my number one woman friend. I can actually call Corinne.
You can really count on her.
A friend without
no reservations.
That's and that's your thing. But mine is I could call her a friend without a relationship with you. Like without a connection to you, I could call Corinne my friend. So she number one there. It's other of your friends like Erica. Like I really like every time I see her, I'm closer to her. You know, so she in that top 5 too. Then we got other friends. You know, I'm not gonna name them all, but Corinne is like undisputed, like top 5. Like we could debate. She she be trying to check me. She could check me. We joke, we laugh, we could do stuff just us like together, fun. So she is definitely one of my favorite friends. So she probably top 5 on favorite friends, and she top 5 on my best woman friend. So definitely, man, big one for her, man. Like I love Corinne, like love her to death.
Corinne is the bomb, and we definitely have we have a good group of friends. But she just like that, and I have other girlfriends who checked in. Of course, Erica, Lena, like my good girlfriends. But Corinne, that right there, I was like I just couldn't even believe it. It's like you in the ER, then we got to get some food because I couldn't eat, and just she wound up staying.
She wrote it out, but she wrote it out,
She definitely did.
February. Right. So, anything else for February?
Yeah. So something else really dope happened in February, and it was another silver lining. My best friend, she wound up coming. She surprised me for my birthday, and so Lena came for the weekend of my birthday, and we got a chance to connect and talk. And it was actually her first time in San Diego. And so I wish it wasn't at a time where I really couldn't do that much. But we still got a chance to explore San Diego just a little bit.
Hey, Lena, we sorry that I wasn't there for it to be lit.
Dama wasn't there because when family and friends come, he kind of
you do the tour.
We did not go to Crack Shack. We wound up going to Fashion Valley. But she was only here for a weekend. So I feel like if she had been here a little longer, we would have hit other places. She did get some in and out. She wasn't like the biggest fan of it. She said it was cool, but it wasn't like, but it wasn't all,
A lot of people.
But I feel like it's just a West Coast thing. It's like one of those places that you just have to try it before you,
and it gotta be
come.
Animal style.
And it has to be, that's the other thing. You got to get animal style. If you're going to get some in and out and you don't get animal style, it's not going to be what you think it's
and
gonna
that
be.
still don't make it better than Five Guys or probably Habit or like most other burger spots. And then nowadays, to me, it's dope. Like you watch them make the fries. The
Everything
burgers
is
ain't
fresh
bad. Like it's cool.
The milkshakes are great.
It's not Five Guys, right? I get it. It's not Five Guys. It's not Hodad's or whatever like that.
Oh, Hodad's is definitely good. But we did go to the beach. We got a chance to go to Mission Valley Beach. We went to Fashion Valley, like one of the dopest malls. But I mean, a lot of things in San Diego is like hiking or just kind of seeing the landscape and just different areas. But you need to have a little bit of time to kind of go there. And with me being like not all the way well, like I was taking them painkillers just so that I could like be up to kind of hang out. But she was just so sweet, and like she wasn't really trying to do too much.
Her friend.
Yeah, she just was like, I'm just here to be here for you. Like we don't have to go anywhere.
She's not gonna make you feel,
No, she didn't at
bad
all.
about not being able to move around because of your health. That's a real friend.
Yeah, and then so you got me the diamonds, and then Elena got me this really beautiful bracelet, a Pandora set about sisters and friendships. The charm. No, I didn't lose it. I don't lose jewelry though.
Where you be putting it at? Like I don't be seeing
all
it.
my
jewelry at?
So all my good jewelry, and this might be pandemic. So if I'm going out, that's kind of when I'm breaking it out to wear it. With my outfits. What jewelry got to do with the
pandemic?
Well, I don't like my stuff to just be touching. It was a point in time when I was wearing gloves. And so it's like hitting on top of the gloves and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I wasn't even wearing when I was wearing gloves, I wasn't wearing my wedding band because, it puts a hole in the glove. So I think I'm past that phase now of like feeling like I need gloves. Of course, we need our masks and stuff like that.
He was
but
washing down the boxes hard, telling me like,
hand sanitizer is
Amazon. Good. Just leave it.
Oh yeah, I was leaving them Amazon boxes down in our garage for a bit so that they could air out, get all the COVID germs off of them, and then spraying them with Lysol. Like,
Yeah, I start rebelling. I'm like, yo, this box can't get left in the garage. Like, I need this.
No COVID in my house.
So, all right. So, anything else? So, you and Elena, February, she came through for you. Birthday happened February 27th. Ooh, right.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
We got it, right?
That Pisces.
Pisces, right. So, anything else? Well, that's end of February. It's only one more day, so ain't much happened.
No, that was that probably was the end of February. The highlights were, the Valentine's Day and my birthday. Those were both highlights.
March.
And then we have March. So March, at that point, I was on FMLA for my job because I was not able to go back to work. And at that point, I wound up resigning because we were going to be leaving, and I had found a specialist. And so my girlfriend out here had recommended, so that was the biggest thing, is that I needed to find a specialist that was going to be able that specialized in fibroids in order to remove the complicated ones that I had. And so I resigned from my job and found a specialist that was in the Johns Hopkins network. And so I was like doing all this research because I was under the impression that I was going to come and get this robotic myomectomy surgery done to remove these fibroids. But that wasn't in the cards for me. I was not a candidate by the time that actually, I got evaluated, and my fibroids were a lot more severe, and in places where my surgeon, she's awesome, was like, yeah, there's probably more in there that we can't see, because I wound up having a few scans and then an MRI, multiple things happening, and so I'm gonna have to open you up. It's going to be an open abdominal myomectomy. I'm going to have to feel around because it's probably ones that we can't detect to make sure I get them all. And so your healing time is probably going to be 12 weeks or more, but I gave it a 12 weeks time frame. And so that was March.
So March for me was, I think...
in moving.
Moving?
Yeah.
So what happened with moving?
So the movers were supposed to come and pack our house up in the beginning of March. They wound up deciding that, and they did wind up doing that. The day that they were supposed to come, they didn't come, but they came the next day.
So this was sometime in March they came.
They came.
So our stuff got moved in March.
So they came, boxed up the whole house. But I mean, in them boxing up the whole house, it's cool because the military is moving you. However, like the company that we had, while they were decent in moving us, they didn't realize how much stuff we had, and so it was more of a process. Yeah,
it's not like the military moving you. It's like the military got a company.
They got a contract with a company that they hire.
Could be shady, a mom and pop spot. Not all mom and pop spots are shady, but sometimes the military deal with like the lowest bidder, so it's whoever gonna move it. Like, we could start a moving company right now, and we'll probably get those moving contracts.
Well, listen, that's probably exactly what happened, because they literally sent two people, and those two people, one of they were not able to box all of that stuff up, and then I had to help them. So imagine I'm taking painkillers and can't really walk all that much, and it's like, now I gotta be there for each room because it's paperwork you got to sign and tags they got to put on stuff.
You got to do, right?
It's a lot of stuff. It's just a lot. Yeah. It's a lot.
I remember when I moved to San Diego. My furniture and stuff was delayed, and then the dude finally showed up, the mover, with the truck, big truck too, real big truck. He was old. He was like 68. He was old. He looked old. He could have been older. And it was just him. I'm like, yo, where the movers at? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, where the movers at? And he parks downhill. He's like, man, I don't know. And mind you, my stuff was already delayed like a month and a half. He's like, yo, I parked. He's like, I don't think that I'm going to be able to help. He's like, I don't think I'll be able to move the stuff off the truck today. I'm like, why'd you come? You know what I'm saying? Why'd you come?
Because this was the day they scheduled.
So I'm like, man, put them slacks down, whatever it is, put them down, man. I'm helping you. You know what I'm saying? So I wound up helping this dude move all my furniture, man. Then I asked him at the end, I'm like, yo, like, am I going to get a paycheck, a paycheck for this or something? So that was my experience. So I already know how crazy it could get with moving. So for me, March, the Navy stuff, I was on a ship. I think maybe me and Carol was able to go out and do some stuff in March. I forgot how March went, but I was on a ship. I know that Carol was taking me out because she was taking me to eat all kinds of Japanese food and stuff like that.
Look at you. So wow. Well, I'm packing up the house. Hubs is getting a little bit of experience in Japan, which I feel like, I mean, you were there, so
yeah. I think that was March. I think that was March. I want to say that was March. I don't really wholeheartly remember, but I think
it was March.
That was probably the end of March because most of March, I think I was in that room, like
it was at the end
quarantine.
of March because by the time we got here it was April. Well, by the time it was the end of March, but by the time they transferred the people that packed the house up is not the people who actually moved, just the movers. So
So we got here in April.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it was like sometime in March. I was probably reading a Malcolm X book, and I was working out. The gyms were closed, so I was working out a lot in the fan room on the ship. Well, no, not even this fan, like my switchboard room on the ship. So, not much from me for March, right? So April, we pretty much you moved here like end of March, right? Like last week of March or something.
Mm-hmm. Well, April. Yeah, end of March, last week of March.
Like last week of March, right? Your
Going
mom
into
helped you?
April. My mom was there to help, but with the moving company, you're not supposed to pretty much move anything. So, just imagine your whole house and somebody is going room by room, taking all the clothes out your closet, taking all the dishes out of your cabinets. So,
and you got some control issues, so you want to control it, right?
I don't know if I have control issues, but someone here has so many electronics and camera stuff and all kinds of stuff that we had our wedding artwork. We had a lot of breakables, and so we had furniture that some things that we paid a decent amount of money for, valuables, and so they doing their job. They got to move it. They got to do their jobs. We got the skinny big screen TV, like things that they need to be able to pack a certain way to make sure that they don't. You got to follow them. Yeah, follow them around and make sure. And where was Saint? Saint was there. He was good, running up and down. I mean, luckily, he's a small little dog, so they were fine with him kind of moving around. But at one point, we had to kind of barricade him in the kitchen because it was starting to get too much because he was very active. Yeah. And this was during COVID, so I know you was being cautious. Yeah. They had to have a mask and all those good things. I remember when I came home, you had people wearing footies. Yep. Coming to the crib. They had a little rug laid out. We had carpet. Yeah. We didn't have hardwood floors at our last where we moved from. Yeah, so our last house. You had to move like rapidly, right? Like I think you flew in and then found out that the movers were already there. So I didn't get here that long. I think you were here 10 days before I got here or something like that. Yeah, you came like not too far, but it was like an issue with it because the stuff had went to the warehouse, and they were trying to find a team, so another moving group to move it across the country. But the other biggest thing is we have 2 cars, so we needed to be able to ship our cars, and finding a reputable company that was going to be able to get our cars here in time. And with COVID, so it just God kind of worked it out where the day that the movers, the day that the people who were coming to bring our stuff were here, the day before or 2 days before, the people who were the company that was shipping our cars was able to get the cars, and it just so worked out that they, instead of me having to drive both cars to their location, the big tractor was able to come and just pick the cars up from the house. So that was really a blessing because that was a lot. Because on top of that, I was still running back. I still was having to go back and forth to the hospital to get my levels checked and to be clear in order to fly, so that I could leave. Yeah, you had to get Saint over here on the airplane. Yeah, right. And get Saint an appointment because, of course, to make sure that at one point in time, it was that you could bring emotional support animals on the plane. But because of COVID and with different rules with airlines, things had kind of changed. So he had to get his appointment and get his paperwork situated so he could fly.
Yeah, and at this point, it's probably nothing you need more than an emotional support animal, right? Like you need, this to happen. Was your mom in Cali? Your mom was in Cali, right? So she flew from Cali to Maryland, right? All right. And that was March going into April. So April, I come home at some point, right? I come home.
But it's crazy because it's like the day that we got on the flight, we must have got on the flight. We got a red eye, so we got on the flight at night, late at night, maybe 11, somewhere around there. And that morning, but as soon as we touched down, literally got out the airport and everything, and the flight was rough because it was a connecting flight. The people who were supposed to deliver the furniture, and it was pouring when we got here, was like, oh yeah, we'll be there in an hour.
Yeah. That's what I was saying.
Drop off all the furniture.
That's what I was saying. I'm saying, yeah, they're here.
And it's like, imagine just running around and just being so exhausted.
Right.
And then Saint was having issues when we were on the plane. That was his first time being on a plane, so he was nervous. He had to be in his carrier. In Cali, I felt like they were a little bit more lenient in terms of like he was in the carrier, but in the airport he could go out so he could go to the bathroom. But he didn't. But he could be in there, but they would allow his head to kind of be out, and so he was a little bit more comfortable in Cali. But when we got to Atlanta, they were a lot more strict, or they had different. I don't know. I think that they weren't as dog friendly, I should say, with the flights. And there was quite a few animals on the flight, cats in their carriers, other dogs, but they weren't as friendly in
okay. They wasn't as friendly.
Cali.
Yeah, they wasn't as friendly and dog friendly.
They weren't as dog friendly.
Yeah, so we good on that. Right?
Yeah. But yeah, so I didn't even get to rest. So by the time I got here you got people coming, bringing all these boxes, and I counted them, so they were over 100 boxes, and then you got to tell them where everything should go, and check off that you received everything.
Anything else about April?
No, I think that kind of covers.
So I came
April.
back, right? The most important thing that happened in April happens. I come back. Y'all try to surprise me by unpacking.
So you came back earlier than we thought. We thought we was gonna have a little bit more time. But it's like kind of was like a running joke with my mom and myself actually, because I used to always say, like, these military wives, sometimes when their husbands go away, they come back home and the house is all together and they just come home to everything in order. And so because we had touched so much transition, I was like, and my mom too, like we kind of wanted the house not to look as disheveled, and to kind of like just unpack things, and try to get things in order. So shout out to my mom, because a lot of that I couldn't really do. The movers, they put together the furniture, like all the big stuff, they kind of put together and put up and stuff like that, but like the beds and stuff like that. But when you talk about all the other things, we had to do it, and some stuff I didn't want them touching, like like your laundry stuff, like it's still COVID. So but yeah, we got everything done, and we had this idea to play this prank on Damo, because he was emailing me about, like, when I was telling him how many boxes and how much Saint had to go outside and things like that, because Saint was getting house trained at the time. Because in Cali he used puppy pads, but not here. He doesn't. And so we emptied all the boxes, but we left all the boxes. And so that was a joke. He was supposed to come in and kind of laugh at seeing all the boxes, but them being empty. But the prank didn't quite go the way I thought it was going to go.
Yeah.
And so how did you feel? But I did get some of it on footage, so I have my memories to laugh at.
Yeah, I might be able to play some of that. I thought that nothing was done. I knew that it wasn't. Again, I didn't really understand the pain you was going through at the time, so I knew it wasn't much that you could do, but I know it was some stuff that I thought you could do, you know. And I had ordered some Amazon. I had got some new cameras and stuff like that. But I'm like, all right, some stuff you could like at least like take some stuff out of some boxes and stuff, and you know, you was putting on like you didn't do anything. So, you know, when I came home and saw all the boxes, I'm like, damn, like I just came back from, you know.
But you was the same one saying like, yeah, I'm gonna empty out all the boxes, and I get back, I'm just gonna get everything done. I'm just gonna
I was planning on going crazy, and then
which didn't even seem realistic.
Yeah, y'all got a lot of stuff done, but I mean, I got down. When I got here, I got down. I was emptying.
Yeah.
Like I got down.
I mean, so we did. So we left. So in our it's our entertainment area. We have like a bar where we have a party. I left those boxes. So all of those boxes, there was about 15 boxes that I left, or we left for Damo to unpack. But all of that was like his equipment, and like some of our like holiday stuff, just like all of the things that we had in our basement.
Yeah. So it was like 100 and something boxes left. It's like some of them empty, most of them empty.
Them boxes was empty. It was 15 boxes left. It was 15 boxes left.
Yeah, but it was like
but it was a lot of stuff in them.
Yeah, and then it was like 100 and something all together.
Oh, boxes. Yeah, in terms of the boxes, yeah, it was like over 100 boxes. But they needed to be broken down because we just took the stuff out of them, but we had them lined up for him.
So that was April. So that was like summer April. May was me breaking down boxes, big black trash bags, figuring out where the recycling center was, taking the boxes there, taking the trash to the dumpster. So that was a lot of that time. Learning a lot about the neighborhood, a lot about the rules, how to get rid of, you know, disposal. I think I paid a dude to come grab a bunch of recyclables, and I ain't even had to do that because it's, you know, it's a place to take them, but it would have been like multiple trips, and we only got, you know, the small cars. So that was a lot of what April was. Got in contact with the command. We talked about me quarantining. So I had to quarantine. I had leave. I had my leave, and I had to quarantine. Was anything else significant for you in April?
I think probably the biggest significant thing was just being able to connect with a new medical provider. I think that was the top on my list in coming and trying to get, you know, make sure that I was able to continue to manage the pain.
So May, what about May?
May, biggest significant thing in May is that it was our anniversary.
Yeah, our anniversary, right?
Yeah. So that was probably the biggest significant thing.
May 31st?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we went to Urban Roast. That was our first time at Urban Roast. We went back like the next day, I think. I think we went back to Urban Roast the next day.
Yeah, Urban Roast is definitely a cool spot. In DC, they have like the fire pits outside. And so May was a nice time where you could, it's a little breezy, nice during the day and a little breezy. But the dishes, all different types of mac and cheese type of smorgasbord type dishes, but they have a lot of different food.
So May was anniversary. We had a good time.
Yeah.
If anybody interested in the menu for Urban Roast, you know what I'm saying, just go on Urban
You know,
Roast.
go on them. You know, find them on Instagram.
Yeah. Just go check them out. Man. They got stuff.
But they have a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a cool place to have an anniversary dinner.
Yeah, that was cool. So, because I think I got home like mid-April, like probably April 9th, and then I had to quarantine, and then I went on leave for like 30 days. So May was cool. June, I'm back at work, new job, new position, everything new, different. You know what I'm saying? I was doing something completely different, paperwork, office, cubicle, stuff like that. So that was June for me. And then at some point, me and Wes, you know, got down. That's my business partner, and we start talking about our plans with Plank Owner Pizza and different things he wanted to do. We knew we were going to go to Pizza Expo. I think that was in August. Pizza Expo happened in August, but we were planning for that, you know, for a while. So we talked about that. He was selling pieces, and I just want to get down with him and us, put our heads together and make it even bigger than it was. So what about June for you?
Oh, you know what? I'm going to just double back real quick. I don't know how I forgot about this, but when I came in May was the ending of my clinical internship. So, the beginning, the beginning of the last portion of my clinical internship in order to graduate. So while I was in Cali, I did all the interviewing and everything virtually, of course. And then when I got here, that was when it actually, I think first week in May is when I drove out to Laurel. So internship was about an hour and 15-minute drive away from where we lived or so. And that's on a good day with not that much traffic.
Yeah. And that's you going to school for what?
Oh, so I am done now, but went to school, had my MSW in clinical social work with a trauma-informed focus.
Okay. So you're going to school for clinical social work. So you're doing your last bit of internship and still doing school at the same time, right?
Yep. So I'm in school still, taking my courses.
Because it's still classes you got to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing school, you're doing an internship, and you kind of worried about your health here, right?
Yeah.
Some stuff kind of slowed down with your health. The working, all the exercising you was doing before I came home, you had to slow it down.
Yeah, I wasn't even able to do much of that.
And before I came home in December, all the exercise, all the working out and fitness you was doing, you had to slow it down.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But then you see, I'm seeing clients. So my clinical internship wound up taking off as soon as I got there. Having therapy, not just with kids, but with adults, and then running group sessions, and I had a pretty full schedule, full client caseload.
You finagled them into giving you
I did not forget
work from home. That's why saying that people that work from home, they work harder because you kind of found a way to get. But you start the internship. You in school.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
but to be clear, they didn't. Because of COVID and because of office space, a lot of the clients preferred to have virtual sessions, and so I had a full. I was given a lot of clients, and so or a decent amount of clients. So many of my clients wanted to have virtual sessions. So my days were quite full, even on the days that I wasn't completely driving to the internship. But because of spacing and things like that, they did kind of make some exceptions in order to kind of like make sure everybody was safe. And it wound up working out for me too as well, just because the internship was so far. And driving there was making my sciatica flare up. So it was causing me to be in a lot more pain on those days that I had to go there.
Mm-hmm. So what about, you got anything else for May that happened for you in May that was significant?
No, I think that was probably it for May.
What about June? Anything in June? That's when I started working. I actually started the job in June. I think I already talked about me in June, though. What about you in June?
I think in June we might have found a daycare provider for Saint.
Yeah, in June we also decided to have the housewarming. We actually said we're gonna go ahead and get it over with. It was a lot of reasons why we, didn't think we would, but we said we was gonna go ahead and get it over with. Between dealing with people to cut the grass, and I think we had just got a hot water. Like soon as we moved in, the water was cold, so we got the hot water tank, changed out. So we like, man, look, it don't matter. I wanted my projector and stuff, but we like, none of this matter. We gonna go ahead and we gonna do the housewarmer. It was a lot different than I wanted. I had these grand ideas. I wanted to do like a family talent show, hook up a sound system with a stage and all this stuff. But it was like, man, let's just get some family over here and let's have a housewarming, right? So let's select some family and friends. So we had our housewarming the 5th of July, right? And the 3rd of July, we found a water leak in the guest room, right? So we found a water leak in the guest room. So we had to deal with that throughout, man, till September, I think. That went on from like July to September. But anything else for July?
Um, no. I mean, the housewarming was cool. I would say that I think just in between that time period, finding out that we needed to replace things.
Mm-hmm.
We had, um, our big tree. Like just, it just seemed like there were a lot of things that were coming up and big ticket
Yeah.
item type things that we have to like get get right to figuring out, replacing and cost wise in
Yeah.
those months. So I think that it was definitely one of those months
Yeah.
so that we were spending a lot.
Yeah, and I don't talk to other people outside of you in these kind of conversations, but I do. If anybody is listening and they don't have a house, whenever you do, just make sure you work with people that's legit. You might think that you helping out, each one, teach one, reach one, all that stuff, but if somebody not legit, I remember you told me like I had the old dude, doing the lawn and stuff. But the thing you told me that rang so hard in my head when you was like, man, you don't even know where this dude live, and I'm like, yo, she's like, you're right. Like, I don't even know where this man lives. You know what I mean? And I'm like, so I like try to find his address and stuff like that, like just going crazy. But
And also, when you have a home, like the thing is, you become responsible. If somebody falls on your property, or if something happens, like they can, that's going to your insurance company. And then you just consistency. We wind up, finding a different company, because our yard and our space is so large. That could be on a schedule where you don't have to chase people down.
yeah, he stopped coming around when he wanted. Like I said, but you when you was like, you don't know where he lived, like that's what like kind of hit me hard. Like, I don't know where this dude lives at. You know what I'm saying? So that was what, June, and that was July. We talked about July.
Housewarming was nice though. We had a cool theme.
Yeah.
For our housewarming party. It was COVID friendly, of course, or COVID safe, because we really didn't have anything super big or.
Yeah, housewarming was cool. Family, friends. That was why we came back here, right? Kind of why we wanted to come back, because San Diego was like heaven on earth. But we wanted to come back because we'd be closer to our family and our friends and stuff like that. So the housewarming was definitely really, really cool. I was concerned because we had the guest room leak like right before the housewarming or whatever.
No,
But
we had it at the same time.
yeah, the guest room leak was on the 3rd and the housewarming was on the 5th. So it was like right before it. Like we discovered it like right before the housewarming.
Yeah, you know what? It might have even been. It was 2 days before that we discovered it. You're right. Or a day or so before.
Yeah.
And that just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah. So what about?
In a completely, the home that we purchased, it was an investment property. So you're talking about a house that's completely, completely done.
Yeah.
Everything is brand spanking new.
Everything but the pipes.
Yeah. Those, they never change.
Pipes old, man. But what about August?
August. What happened in August? I think somewhere, I think I was still back and forth with my medical providers. And I think around that time period, we got a chance to meet up with the head of the surgical team. And we had our appointment, which was cool. It took so long. So from the first time that I got here to trying to schedule with her, she's kind of like the best of the best. And so she was very super booked. And that was just a consultation, just to go over my images and to figure out like, the surgical plan. And when I could actually have the surgery, like when she would be available to do it. And so I think that was kind of happening in August because the surgery date wasn't even scheduled until December. Like that, there was no availability until then.
Yeah, I think August was our first trip back to Philly. My stepmom passed away. So end of August, we lost my stepmom. So that was our first trip. I think was that our first trip back to Philly?
Since being here, I think so. Actually, yeah.
So that was our first trip back to Philly. Was for the funeral. Really real rough, real tough stuff, and we filmed it. So I appreciate you helped me film it. So I appreciate you. It's gonna get edited, and we're gonna get it out to everybody that attended. But so, and may she rest in peace, because she taught me so much about life and love and treatment of people and all types of stuff. So
she was so sweet. Such a like beautiful, positive all the time, just warm person.
yeah.
And all the time, you know.
Yeah, Miss Stephanie. That's what I call her, Miss Stephanie. My nephews and stuff call her me mom. And just everybody called her Sunshine. I also call her my Sunshine, and so I call her mom. Sunshine. She's another one of my moms. So love her to death. So again, she's somewhere. Hopefully, she proud of us, and she rooting for us. She always did. So. And she root for you no matter what, ups, downs, blemishes, so that's the greatest of people that could do that. So that was August for me. September, that was Pizza Expo, me and Wes, fun, super fun, Vegas, worrying about the company, stuff like that. What about you? How was September?
Oh, you forgot? You made Senior Chief.
Yeah, I made Senior Chief, yeah.
That's like a big deal.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Like,
that was a big deal.
How we glazed over that. So Senior Chief came, results came out, and Damo made Senior Chief. And so penance ceremony.
Yeah, my mom came.
Mom Dukes came for the weekend, and we had we planned a dinner. So we took you out the day of the penance ceremony. Me, Mom Dukes, and we went to dinner, which was nice. And then I planned a surprise friends and family type dinner on the weekend. And so that was really cool. Yeah. To kind of celebrate and commemorate that time period. But that definitely was a good point, a good period.
Yeah, you said that was August. That was September?
That was September. That was September.
Was that it for you for September? Anything else? That was it?
Yeah. That was it.
All right. Well, what about October?
October, I think probably one of the biggest things, and it's probably end of September into October, was one of my best friends, Erica. She's pregnant. And one of my other good best friends, Kersha, she's also pregnant. So I have two girlfriends who just happened to be pregnant. All of us would have been pregnant at the same time. And so, and both of them had the same thing. They both had really bad morning sickness, more than morning sickness, all day sickness for both of them. And so Erica is in Philly, but Kersha lives in Canada. And so just communicating back and forth with her. And then we traveled back to Philly for her baby shower, to shower her and baby Eve.
That was in October?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because she had the baby in October. So October is my nephew's birthday. And then Erica's daughter was born like 2 days after.
When was the wedding? So Erica's daughter was born what?
So Erica's daughter is born a day or two after my nephew's birthday. Oh. So she, the baby was born in October, and Kersha's son also was born in October. I think they're like a day apart as well. So they all born in the same week. Okay. So I'm gonna have a lot of birthdays to celebrate.
That's if you're gonna buy gifts.
Buying gifts for the babies. And so
you could get them pajamas, like
they're not gonna get pajamas.
Get them PJs, man.
You know,
like, I mean, it's obvious
that's
that
a good gift.
People need them, right?
People do need PJs, and kids, they wear their little PJs, their little footies. And so
what I was going to ask you was, when was the wedding? When did the wedding happen? Was that October?
The wedding was October as well.
Right.
The wedding was October. So we
went back to Philly again.
So yeah, we went back to Philly again. Because remember, it was like a couple weeks apart. So it was like, yeah, we're going to be in Philly this week. And then by the following week, we had to go back.
Yeah, so the wedding happened.
So my cousin got married, had lit wedding. Really classy wedding. Oh, the food was good. DJ was popping. But it was good to see family. And that was kind of like those two things in October probably were like the happier moments, lighter moments of us going back to Philly. Because previous to that, Anytime we actually went back home, it was for a loss.
Yeah, somebody passed. Like,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
wasn't
my
a happy moment.
grandmas,
Yeah.
my uncle, like somebody passed. You know, we going home because somebody passed, and like it's like this business. Like we gotta bury somebody we love. You know, so a lot of people passed too while we were in Cali. So that was October. We probably missing some stuff, but you know, January was a lot of action. So what about November? What happens in November?
November is always a special time for us, just because that's like the time that we met. We met in November, the day before Thanksgiving. And so probably, hopefully, maybe next year we'll be able to do like our own take on Friendsgiving or family giving or something. But this year, around that time, instead of having a celebration on Thanksgiving, first time in our home, we decided to do like a family dinner, the day after Thanksgiving. And so it was supposed to be potluck style, which for the most part it was. But when you host family, and really, I guess you really can't say host because it's like all of our thing. Just hosted at our house. It definitely still was like a lot, like like you would do for a big Thanksgiving dinner. But it turned out really well. We had my brother made a fried turkey, and my sister-in-law made mac and cheese, and my other sister-in-law made collard greens. My mother-in-law, she made some candy yams and some string beans, and
the food was lit. The
food
was good, and you know, just like what I appreciate. I remember before we had it, because we had this big time conversation about like just intermingling families, you know, and I'm like, y'all need to be mentally prepared, you know, to mix this person with this person. Like my relationship with this person is sacred, and it's kind of selfish because, you know, my family made me who I am, and then I love your family, you know what I mean? So it's like, it can't go that bad, you know what I mean? Like, but it's like I'm always kind of, you know, just thinking too much, you know, between just intermingling. But that's the beauty in doing those things. You get to intermingle with your families and see how everybody respond and react to each other. And it's some fun stuff that happens. We had some fun conversations. We got loud, a lot of fun stuff. It was crazy, you know, but I wanted, like, because what I do remember about the car is, because you brought up about that you wanted to start going to therapy, counseling, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So was that, I don't know if, did we start in October?
We started in October, actually. Yeah, we did. We actually started therapy, and I'm a really big advocate for mental health, mental wellness. Therapy is great. Gives you a chance to kind of explore how you're feeling. Talk about your emotions in a non-judgmental space, and go get through some things.
So why'd you want to go to therapy? I'm still kind of on the fence, like, about like your reasoning.
So I think therapy is good when things are good, when things are bad.
Reason?
So my reason for therapy is I wanted to kind of get into go through how I felt about having a miscarriage, you know, and all of the bottled emotions that I had, because I felt like now I was at like a point in time where I was actually processing it. And people go through grief differently. So Kubler-Ross has his book, 5 Stages of Grief. And so it talks about, you know...
Who is it that got the book?
I think her name is... it might be Ann Kubler-Ross.
Okay.
I could be wrong on the Ann part, but I know it's Kubler-Ross. But... so you can fact check that for me so that I can make sure that's correct. But she talks about these different stages of grief. And it's true. Some people go through different phases where they're in denial, they're angry. You know, different things happen for different people. And I think for me, I was going through just mixed emotions. Mother's Day happened, and I was... Elizabeth
Kubler-Ross and David Kessler. Let's not forget the dude. That's
David Kessler.
David Kessler.
Great book. And so, you know, when you think about, like, you know, grief and how you feel when things happen, you know, and not just grief, just transition. I mean, it was a big transition
You was talking about Mother's Day.
Moving to Cali. But let me go back. So Mother's Day was rough because it was one of those weird periods because I was pregnant and I had told people because I was so excited. We both were. And so I think some of my family and friends, some people were like, Happy Mother's Day. Some people kind of like, checked in like, hey, how you feeling? It was a weird thing for me.
So
and
is it them saying Mother's Day because you were pregnant and had a miscarriage? Is people
I guess that's like a weird.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking. Like, it's people that still consider.
So that part I didn't know.
Lady a mother if she had a miscarriage.
Yeah, I mean
because you mothered.
Yeah, you still had a child.
So some people were calling you. They was calling
texting
you because they thought you were still pregnant.
No, they knew that I wasn't.
Okay, so they was texting saying Happy Mother's Day. Okay,
and so that was
I ain't get nothing for Father's Day. Not one phone call. Nothing for Father's Day. Where's the people at that was calling you?
Like, but it was like a weird thing. And so people were like, like my closest friends, like, how are you feeling, checking in? It just so happened that particular weekend, my father-in-law and his significant other was here. So we actually, and I think your nephews were here as well. I think so, actually, because I think that was the time that they were still in virtual school.
Shout out to the young boys.
So so they had kept me, they was keeping me busy. Like there was so much going on. Like it was family here. We kind of went out. Matter of fact, they were here because we went out to Alexandria. We went to like this area called King Street where it's like off of there's like I guess a river or something. Over there, but there's like a strip of like all these different kinds of stores, food places, all kind of places. But so we went there. We went a few other places, MGM, at the National Harbor, and kind of just spent time together. And so that made the time like where it wasn't a stillness time. And I think it was at that moment that I realized I was like, okay, like I think I'm ready to go through and deal with how I feel about the loss. Because before I kind of was like, okay, I was so focused on all of the other moving parts of life that I really didn't stop to really, outside of that crying, the initial crying, but like, I felt like I just wanted to talk a little bit more about it. Because there were certain things that bothered me about the process. And I wanted to be able to talk through that. And I also knew that I was going to have another major surgery to get the fibroids removed, and I wanted to kind of be mentally prepared for that. And I thought it was important to include you in that process as well. Because I'm not always the best communicator in terms of like I can give you information, but I might not necessarily share how I'm feeling about it. And I think a lot of that comes from my career-wise, always being the person on the other side, meaning being the support for someone else going through something. So for me, I think it didn't quite hit me like, this is your situation. Like it's not anybody else's. This is yours. And so I was like, I want to go to therapy because I want to be mentally healthy. And I want to go through that and see how I can kind of move past it in a healthy way.
Hey, so I want to go back to June real quick because Sincere came, my nephew. He graduated second in class, so we celebrated him. We celebrated my other nephew when he graduated, Kamir. He came through. We celebrated him. So Sincere came. It's only right, we celebrated Sincere as well. So, so that was back in June. I almost forgot about that, so I ain't want to.
And he had a whole week full of love and lots of going out and celebrations.
Yeah, that was a highlight for us. That DC. We did a lot. We did a lot with him. Yeah, that was a highlight. And
I think the highlight might have been for him. We took him to Chima. Not Chima, sorry. Fogo de Chao.
Fogo de Chao. Yeah.
And so
young boy was eating.
Young boy had a ball in terms of like
breakfast. You was making breakfast like every day. Like I was like that. I wish I was my nephew.
Living the life.
Like, waking up, making breakfast.
Living the life.
Getting that.
But when he came, I thought about like when I was a kid, and when you would go to your aunts and your uncles' houses, and they would kind of just take care of you. You you there, and they make sure like everything is at your fingertips. They cooking for you. Like, I have some of the fondest memories going to visit my aunts, going to visit family, especially my grandma. Like, and just how they would take care of me, my siblings. Like, just kind of like, you didn't have to ask for anything. It was kind of like there.
Yeah.
And maybe they had some control issues too, but who knows? My family is Jamaican, so a lot of things are like, people kind of serve you. And so I'm kind of so used to that. And so it's kind of only natural that I do the same thing. So if you come into my house, of course, you're going to be served. I'm not going to be expecting or even anticipating that you're going to be doing anything.
If they come to your house, first off, they're going to be greeted by me because you still going to be in the room getting ready. I'm going to be awkwardly entertaining the guests for like an hour till you come out.
It's not an hour. I mean, sometimes it just seems like as women, times get by. I mean, the time kind of gets away from us, especially when you're having, people come over.
Time gets away from you.
Other women too, I'm sure.
Yeah, y'all. Women. But Kamir, like, you just made me think about one time Kamir, he came to my dad's house, and I was like the qualified adult, I guess. I was like early, like mid-20s or something. This Kamir was young. And this dude, like, he was used to staying with my mom and his mom, and they making him eggs and bacon and everything every day. And like I poured up like the cereal at my dad's crib. Like, I got a bowl of cereal. This boy looking at me like,
where's the breakfast?
Like, yo, you gotta get down to the cereal too. He's like, I'm not eating that. You know what I mean? Like, and he ain't saying it like that, but he pretty much let it be known. He's like, yo, my mom and grandma, they make breakfast, for me. And I'm like, bro, that shit probably your grandma, young boy. Like, I'm getting down on the cereal. Because I was still going to eat whatever my dad cooked. So my dad wakes up, he cooked, he made some great food or whatever like that. All right, so that was November we just talked about, right? Mm-hmm. That was November we just talked about. So what about December?
December. Month. Oh, so December is kind of like, it's finally here. After we kind of finished off our family dinner, that was like kind of like the highlight. Then we got December, and it is everybody's birthday. So it is your dad's birthday, your birthday, and then we have my mom's birthday, and then my dad's birthday. We got all these stages.
Yeah, and Saint got neutered in November, right?
So, gosh, how did I forget? Yeah, Saint got neutered November 10th.
Okay, so Saint got neutered in November, so he still, like, it took so long for him to take the cone off, of course. So he still had the cone
Still
on.
running around here with this cone on, jumping all over the place. The neutering, I don't, neutering, we had to get him neutered.
Gotta get in the neutering, babe.
But I just want to say that, people... It's presumed that, when a dog gets neutered, certain behaviors and things will stop. That's not always the case. And that's my soapbox, and I'm off it.
Okay. All right. So December was the birthdays.
Was
you
birthdays,
already talked about
all the
them,
birthdays.
right? You talked about the birthdays.
And I think specifically for yours, because I already knew that I was gonna have a major surgery. And the biggest thing in December, I think prior to all of that, was just the culmination of my whole grad school experience. So December 4th was my last day of class, last day of courses, last day of my clinical internships. I was completely done. And so I wanted to make sure that I finished school before my surgical procedure. But the biggest thing is I wanted to be able to celebrate your birthday without any major restrictions. And so plan this whole situation where we can hang out with friends. You figured that part out. The biggest surprise was like the Bruno Mars concert. We had been like passing it, seeing it on billboards, and I was just like, and it was at the MGM, so I was like, yeah, looked at the tickets, they was kind of pricey. I'm like, I don't know, but then I wound up deciding like, yeah, this probably would be like a really good thing to do for your birthday, and tried to surprise you with that, but you figured it out too. And then we went to this really bomb steakhouse, Voltaggio's, another celebration thing for dinner, and that was a really good experience as well. So I think all of those things in December. And then my surgery on the 11th, and then my mom's birthday on the 12th.
Yeah. Yeah. So full circle moment, right? Surgery, full circle moment. I think the first hour of our podcast was about the fibroids and the pregnancy, or the first hour of whatever this turns out to be. But full circle moment now is December,
End of the year,
and now you're getting the fibroids removed, right?
Yeah. And you know what? I was actually starting to get nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, it's like this time is coming. Like, I'm ready for it. But 3 weeks prior, I was really sick. I wound up getting bronchitis. And they thought that I had concerns for pneumonia. So I was sick. And of course, we're in the house together. So Damo got sick as well. And so you got sick. And so I had steroids and antibiotics and all these things to kind of cough medicine, all these things to kind of get it under control, or to get it to leave. And then the week of the surgery, of course, you're not supposed to take any medicines. You know, you want to stop everything. This cough comes back. And so I'm calling my provider because it's like it took from April to now December to even get the surgery. I'm like, I don't.
Well, you pushed it back. She wanted to give it to you the day she saw you.
Well,
like
she
October.
said she could have, she could have squeezed me in October because she
like,
saw
I'm in school. I'm
how
on my
bad,
internship.
how everything was.
Give it to me December the whatever day was before my birthday. I'm like, dang, baby, you trying to do this before my birthday?
Well, that was the next available day because it was kind of like
give it to me on 5th.
all the holidays, and I knew Saint had to get neutered, and that was going to be a recovery process for him. And just considering my spouse, considering you, it's like that's a lot of things all at one time. Like, I think, closer to the end, and even for myself, like it was a lot. School, papers, like it's just I wanted to be able to heal.
You wanted to finish school. You wanted to be out of school.
Clear state of health, yes.
Yeah.
Because I felt like if I had the surgery earlier, I probably would have been more stressed out and not been able to focus on just healing, because I would be thinking about, okay, I wasted money. I gotta repay for these courses, and then it's not just the courses, it's also the internship. So that was just gonna be, and it's a lot of driving. So that just would have prolonged things, and I really just wanted to be done. I felt like at the end of the day, like through everything that happened, I was able to still push through, get my work and stuff done, still get great grades, finished with a 3.9. So I'm really, really thankful.
Congrats.
Like, thank you. And so that was big for me. But yeah, so the week of the surgery, I started coughing, had to call my provider, and I spoke with the anesthesiologist and the team because they were concerned because they wanted to make sure my airways was closed. And I'm like, well, I don't think I'm going to be coughing during the surgery, but that's something that they need to know.
Yeah. So you got to go. You get the surgery, right?
Well, I got a chest X-ray, and yes, they cleared me. Good to go. Get the surgery. We get there 5:30. 5:30 in the morning. We get there for the surgery that's supposed to start at 7:30.
Yeah.
And that's only supposed to last 3 hours. Max, possibly 4, but 3 hours is the allotted time frame. Surgery wound up lasting 6 hours because there were more fibroids, and they were hard. The surgeon said for her to remove them. Like they were like, so she had to go through remove some other tissues and things like that in order to even remove them.
Yeah.
And so there wound up being 9, a total of 9.
So we had a full circle, like everything you've been working for this year, like everything kind of fell into place in December, right? From you finishing college, right? I think that was like end of November, real early December, matter of fact.
Yeah, because I actually had all my hours. Like I was like busting it, like just trying, like busting all those hours out, making sure that I was doing extra hours because I wasn't sure, if something was to change or something was to happen, I wanted to be ready.
So finishing college and then getting the fibroids removed, the surgery, which you are recovering for right now, right? So first of all, I thank you for even sitting down with me in the midst of your recovery. Because you can't, there's not much you could do. You can't really bend, and there's, not much going on, to be transparent. I've been teleworking and, trying to be here for you. So Moms came again. Moms helped out. She held it down. So, tough act to follow for me. But we getting it done, right? So full circle moment. I hate to, gloss over some stuff because I know you want to get into detail about everything that happened. But the whole fibroid journey, but I think that'd be like a whole nother
time for that
hour and stuff like that. So
I'll just say the surgical team was great. Like, I was very nervous about the process, but my surgeon, shout out to Dr. Mize, awesome. I find it, and I count it a blessing, like when you have the chief of staff who says, like, she sees the complications and she didn't pass my case on to somebody else. She's going to do my surgery personally. That says a great deal. She knew the history, like she was very well versed with everything going on with me and my body, and even down to preparing me for recovery and everything. So I definitely feel like the team was great, and the recovery was a lot better. For this being my second surgical procedure, it was much better.
So that was our year, lot happened, looked like fibroids and the miscarriage and the experience with the doctors and stuff like that, kind of had to lead this year. But at the end of it all, the fibroids have been removed.
Yeah.
And
bye. Peace to fibroids.
Graduation is happening next year, some stuff like that. So a question I want to ask you real quick, since we just talked about coming out of next year, the fibroids being removed, what are you looking forward to next year?
So next year, I am looking forward to first and foremost, healing, being completely healed, being able to try to get back to some sense of normalcy, being able to drive, like, just being able to move around, pain-free. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm very much looking forward to graduation. It's going to be in May. And so it's not going to be a drive. Hopefully it won't be. At this present time, I don't know what's happening with COVID and all the new variants, but I'm hoping to be able to walk across that stage and get my degree. And then we also are still family planning. So according to my doctor, April might be a lucky month. Maybe the lucky month for us. So if that is to happen, I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah.
And possibly some travel if we can. I don't know. With COVID kind of just it's just in a way right now.
Rears its ugly head.
It's back. So yeah.
I mean, that'd be significant if we did in April, because it'd be like a year from when we moved here. That'd be like our year anniversary, something like that.
Yeah. And also, it's like April is a special month also, because that was the month that we got engaged. So we got engaged April 9th. So April does have some significance.
So this is what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to losing weight yet again. You know what I'm saying?
That makes
Me
two
and
of us.
my weight loss, weight gain journey. So I'm looking forward to losing weight again. I'm looking forward to our child. I'm looking forward to getting pregnant, having a kid, stuff like that. Well, I'm looking forward to you getting pregnant, having a kid. I'm looking forward to VR. No, that ain't on here. But Plank owner. I'm looking forward to whatever we got going on with Plank Owner Pizza this year. Hopefully a ribbon cutting ceremony for a location. I'm looking forward to podcasts, our podcast, Damon and my podcast. Shout out to Damon, who really held me down all year. But Damon and my podcast has been growing like exponentially. So I'm looking forward to that. Permission to speak freely. I'm looking forward to the fam room. This other discussion thing that I just started for some reason, I think this will probably land on that. I'm looking forward to more guys' nights, man. I'm actually looking forward when we threw P that surprise party, and we was able to have fun. Y'all set me up for failure because y'all made me come back late, but
it was all in the plans. I mean,
for me to get set up for failure, and then
no, you wasn't set up for failure.
Talk about me.
People at the party just. You know, they were a little bit confused.
There's you the guy that came late and you saying you got something to say, and I'm never late, so that like really bothered me, right? But more guys' nights. We have fun. We need to do it more. We got a little me, P, and CJ got a little surprise up our sleeves for y'all, but I don't want to keep saying it and we don't do it because it's not like in stone yet. Also want to find a church home. I want to go ahead.
We definitely need that.
Find like a little spot, like with some young people, some stuff like that, some kids. So let me ask you a question. I want to see what you say.
There's one more thing, but you can ask the question. The other thing that I would say is like something that did come out of all of this and with COVID is that I got a chance to tap into some of my crafting skills and some of those other things that I really enjoy. And so I started balloon styling as well as making specialized Lux treats. And so that is to come in 2022, the launching of my business. So I'm looking forward to creating digital content and that kind of taking off as something that's my baby project.
Mm-hmm. All right, here's my question, right? What you think was our worst habit as a couple? What you think was our worst habit of the year?
Oh, our worst habit? I guess I would say is probably when we got here, just door dashing and ordering out probably more than we probably did before.
Yeah, that's what I got on here. Is Uber Eats.
That right there.
Uber Eats, DoorDash, Postmates, everyone. Like
all of the
them
services.
Junks. Yeah. Buying China. So Uber Eats, Postmates, DoorDash, that's what I got as my worst habit as well. So we share that. So that's something that we definitely need to get better with next year. Mm-hmm. All right. So we almost at the end of the road here. But before we do that, I want us to talk movies, TV shows, and music. So movies.
So I don't have a movie. I have a series.
You don't have any movie?
I don't know. Let me look real quick.
Like top movies?
Top movies? What's your top movie?
I wrote 10 because we talked, we did some prep. All right, so now for anybody listening, we did prep, right? So we supposed to come up with our top 10.
Well, I thought you said movies and
I saw her.
shows.
I saw you on, and then I done broke the fourth wall, right? But I saw you all day doing your routine, looking at the news, looking at your social media, where I'm like, yo, like, are you prepping for this? And to be transparent, I finished the podcast. And
I really don't know if we was able to really see
here.
Any movies like that.
You probably can't believe. You probably won't even be able to believe how much prep I did, like for this part. All right, so movies, right? So my first point is that the post-pandemic movies didn't really hit right. The joints that they pushed back, like, yo, this not coming out because it's the pandemic. We gonna wait. We gonna bring this out on HBO Max. We gonna do this, that. They ain't hit the way that I felt like they were supposed to. So Top Gun 2 needs to hit right, but they didn't hit right to me.
But the theaters was closed for most of the year.
Yeah, but some movies were going straight to streaming, like Coming to America 2.
That was good.
Okay.
But I mean, some people didn't think it was all that great in comparison to the original.
It wasn't. So it was all right,
but it was okay. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it wasn't lit like that. But yeah. So I'll give you my 10. Spider-Man No Way Home is number 1, right?
I didn't see Spider-Man yet, but I heard it was good.
Yeah, it was good.
I heard it was good.
Swan Song is on here. So this not in any order. These just 10.
It's Swan Song. Oh, it's a movie. It's not a series.
These just 10 movies that I got listed in no order at all. What you trying to do your work now? You trying to do the work now?
I'm just looking to see if there was any that I particularly liked.
On your list that you already did the work for, or are you
But on
Googling?
my list that I did the work for is mostly series.
All right, so we're gonna get in. We're gonna get in the series
through your list. list. Go through your movies. Go ahead.
The movie list you supposed to have it too. So Swan Song was good, right? Did you like it?
Swan Song was good. Yeah. Swan Song was good.
Yeah, and a lot of these we watched together. Some of these we didn't. King Richard is on here.
King Richard was good.
Right?
Very good.
Yeah, King Richard is on there.
Highly recommended.
Spider-Man No Way Home, just for the fact that it was, I'm going to start like in the beginning just again for a little bit. Marvel movie, comic book, nerds, dream. You know what I mean? They did a lot with that. Swan Song to me was like a long episode of Black Mirror, the best possible way. You know what I mean? King Richard was a turn to me for Will Smith. He did good. It was like Will Smith overload though, right? Like you got Jada and Will and all the news that they got.
I like Will Smith as the actor, so I think he did good. I wonder if he's going to be nominated for an Oscar or anything.
He might, but I think Denzel gonna kill it with this movie. He got the tragedy.
Oh, I do have one movie. Boom.
But the Will Smith, when I say Will Smith overload, because he got the book, he got the TV show, stuff like that. The Harder They Fall is on my list as a movie. One of the best movies. But again, I said already that the post-pandemic movies didn't really hit right, and there's a lot of movies I didn't see yet. Zola was a big one. So, no. So The Harder They Fall, Zack Snyder's Justice League, I'm glad they brought that out. That was really good, like super impressive. Way better than the other one. Zola, the movie Zola that we watched based off the Twitter story. I liked it. It was new. It was something new, something fresh. Cherry with Tom Holland.
Cherry was good.
Yeah, Cherry was good.
Yeah,
I don't know if
Cherry
you
was
finished
good.
it though. And I think you stopped it at like where it was about to get crazy. So anything else Marvel did except the Eternals, because I ain't watched the Eternals yet. But anything else
All the
like
Marvels were good. Shang-Chi was great.
Black Widow. Anything else Marvel did. I just didn't watch the Eternals.
Was good. I also like Judas and the Black Messiah.
So we watched a movie called In the Heights. Right, it was a musical, Spanish.
It's a musical. That was great.
It was good. I liked it. That's somehow made my list. Judas and the Black Messiah capped off my list of 10 movies, and I got an honorable mention. It's Don't Look Up with Leonardo DiCaprio. Like it just came out, like just recently. It just came out. So what's yours? What's your one?
So I think a lot of the ones that you said was pretty good for me. But I will say I really didn't. I thought it was either movies or series, so I really didn't make a list of movies.
Yeah. So what's your
so
one?
I already said it, Judas and the Black Messiah.
Oh, Judas and the Black Messiah.
All the other ones you said, I agree with you. Like they would have been my picks as well. But I think if we move on to series, I would say there was a lot of series that I liked.
So how many did you list?
Lovecraft County.
Or
Country, or whatever.
That
was good. I was really happy when you finally started watching Money Heist. Money Heist was great. And you was caught up to the point where like you could have watched the newer season and just topped off or concluded the year.
Yeah, Lovecraft. It ain't make my list.
Lovecraft made mine. Money Heist, Ginny and Georgia made my list.
Okay.
I like the series.
Yeah.
Handmaid's Tales made my list. True Story made my list.
Oh man, yeah, with Kevin Hart. Yeah, that was good. Like a mini series. That was good. That was real good.
Yeah, True Story made my list. Squid Games made my list. Top Boy made my list.
Top Boy. I think Top Boy was like 2020, but you watched it in 2021.
Oh, I might
Top
have
Boy,
been.
yeah, Top Boy. I wish we did this in 2020 because Top Boy would have definitely been like somewhere at the tippy top.
Hold on.
You got 10 or?
I don't know if I have 10 per se. Hold on.
True Story. I forgot about True Story.
True Story was great. There were some other ones, like I don't know if you particularly watched them, but The 100, Netflix series, really good.
And that's not from this year though, right? Like no new seasons this year, right? It's just a show you watched this year, right?
3%. But no, The 100, I think it did have.
Okay, because I know it just got remade, like on
most
CW.
recently, and maybe that's probably how. Oh yeah, maybe that's probably why it probably wasn't a 2021 situation.
Yeah, I mean, but still, it's still one of your favorites. Anything else you got on there?
What was the other? So it was Squid Game, but then there's another one that's similar to
Alice in Borderland.
Yeah, Alice in Borderland.
Yeah, that's 2020. So I ain't
Oh, that's
listed. I
2020?
only didn't list it because it was 2020.
So yeah, so that one would be I think that's all on my
So
list.
I'm gonna run through mine again. I got them numbered 1 through 10, but it's not my top 10. It's just number 1 through 10. So Kim's Convenience is the first thing I thought of. I watched all seasons.
Kim's Convenience is good.
Yeah, Kim's Convenience is dope. So I watched all seasons this year. Money Heist is the second thing I thought of.
I don't know why Money Heist wasn't first, but go ahead.
The first thing I thought of?
Go off.
You said you wonder why Money Heist wasn't the first thing I thought of?
Oh, I forgot one. Sorry. Insecure.
Okay, Insecure. Yeah. So Money Heist wasn't the first thing I thought of because it just wasn't the first thing I thought of. Like, Kim's Convenience is always the first thing. I love that show. Like, you got to remember, like, we talked about all year, last year, we talked about, like, being in depressive states. We talked about losing a baby. Kim's Convenience is a comedy, and it made me laugh. Like, all the time, you know. So shout out to Omari for that, like, letting me know about Kim's Convenience. It was hilarious, you know what I mean? So it definitely was tops for me. It wasn't depressing. It was just super funny. Money Heist. The third thing I'm thinking of is my candidate for best show of the year for me is Mayor of Easttown. So I think
Mayor of Easttown was good. Oh, how did I forget?
Yeah, I think Mayor of Easttown was the best show of the year.
So Mayor of Easttown is in the running with what is the other show? The Judge, Your Honor.
Your Honor is last year though.
Oh, was it?
Last year. Yeah. Like I think it started last year.
Oh well.
Definitely one of the best shows of the year. Yeah. Mayor of Kingstown is on my list for the best 10 shows I watched this year. We still watching it. Scenes from a Marriage is on my list. It was real good.
Great. And I think for married folks, even if you're not.
What'd you say?
I say even if you're not married, that's a good show just to kind of watch with your significant other or just watch in general.
It's like top-notch acting on that.
Yeah, man. The acting is great. It really delves into relationships, marriages, and just like everyday things that like most people go through, but just like how differently people can deal with life stressors.
Yeah. Cease, I guess Saint tired of us, huh?
Saint is done. He like
C
too much
season
moving.
2.
C, all that.
That's on my list. So C season 2 is on my list, and it ended with a crazy cliffhanger, man. Like something that I didn't want to happen. So I slept on C too. So that was another one from Damon that Damon like suggested. I slept on it. I watched it. I didn't think it was that tough, and then I wound up watching it again. It's funny because we watched Tribes of Europa this year too. That came out this year.
That was pretty decent.
That was actually pretty good. It didn't make my list, but I just thought about it. Wheel of Time made my list as one of the best shows I saw this year. I like Wheel of Time. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
What you looking up, baby?
That's a good one. I was just looking up. I'm just like I was just really kind of scrolling, just to see if it was something that I missed that I would have wanted to put on my list.
That's called prep. That's called prep for that episode.
Did you put Sex, Love, and Goop on your list?
Not yet, because we ain't finished it.
Yeah, but it's still good.
WandaVision is another
good.
candidate for best shows I saw. Just everything about WandaVision to me was perfect. It was technically one of the best shows I saw this year. It was story, one of the best shows I saw this year. WandaVision and Mayor of Easttown and Scenes from a Marriage to me are competing for the best shows I saw this year. BMF is on my list. That's one of the best shows I saw this year. BMF
Raising
is actually
Kanan.
on my list.
You can't.
Swagger is on my list, on my top 10 list of the best shows I saw this year. Swagger was current. It was about this year pretty much. So it was the only show that was really current. Like they try to dabble in that in Your Honor, but nah. Then it's about the neighborhood we live in. It's about the culture we live in. Swagger was just it's about basketball. It was just everything that, I want out of a show. The acting was good. The storyline was good. It talked about sexual assault. It talked about a whole bunch of different topics. The Black Lives Matter stuff that was happening. COVID it touched. And it didn't just touch them. It the show revolved around that stuff. My honorable mentions is Dope Sick. That's one of the best shows that I think we've seen. The Upshaws with Mike Epps and Wanda Sykes. I like that show a lot. Like I think it
That's
was
a
good.
good show. It's
Yeah, I
funny.
think it was good.
Yeah, it's a good
Pretty
show.
Smart to me is good too on Netflix. Pretty Smart with the sister who moved in with her sister and the roommates and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's
Smart.
a good show.
And these are my honorable mentions. Squid Game is on there for honorable mention for me. It's only right to put Squid Game on there to me for honorable mention. It's definitely, to me, it don't beat none of the 10 shows I listed as best show I saw, but it's definitely on there just because of what it did culturally. Like what it did. Like
I mean, it moved the whole culture.
Yeah, it went crazy. So
like that's like a viral
yeah.
series at this point.
And then my last show that I got on here is Raising Kanan.
Yeah, Raising Kanan is definitely
one of the best shows.
good show.
Honorable mention, I couldn't put it over much, but it's there. All right, what about music?
Oh wait, I got one more show that I want to add.
Yeah, that's what happened when you don't do your prep.
Lupin.
Yeah, that's what happened when you don't do your
Lupin
prep.
was good, and I felt like it.
Whole bunch of shows.
It should definitely. I just had one more.
Gotta scroll.
I had one more. I did prep for that part.
Yeah, Lupin would be honorable mention too.
I felt like the acting was good. The concept around the show, like the writing was good. The suspense, all of that was good. Lupin.
Yeah. Music. This is another.
Music.
Yeah. So we said movies, shows, music.
So,
I'm gonna assume you ain't prep for music either.
I mean, I really didn't prep so much, but I mean, there are some. So Snow Allegra dropped the album. I really like her music. A lot. Her definitely like her music. My girl, Jasmine Sullivan, Hotels.
Oh man.
Like on repeat. Like
yeah, for some reason.
What?
Yeah, damn. Yeah, Jasmine should definitely be on my list.
On repeat.
Yeah. Jasmine She not on my list, but she should be. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, Jasmine should be on my list.
I'm trying to think.
All right, that might. So I'm gonna start naming.
Tiana.
Mine.
Was Tiana's project this year?
I don't know, but it shouldn't be on no list for nothing.
What? I'm a Tiana fan, so she definitely she made the list for me. Wizkid, that Made in Lagos.
Yeah, that was last year though.
Oh, was it?
Tiana was last year.
Oh, Tiana was like,
Wizkid and Tiana were both last year.
Okay, so I'm just mixing it up.
Just late. You late to the, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, well, I'm late to the party then.
Yeah, you late.
I mean, so for me, I love all music, but I guess for me, like whatever vibes I feel, that moves me at the time is like kind of what I'm going to be listening to, or however I, whatever is like kind of new to. If it's catchy, I might.
Yeah. So Nas, Magic just came out.
Rotimi also listed a project. Sorry, I wasn't done.
Okay. I mean, you just started to go kind of dwindle in thought.
I did dwindle away, but I wanted to put him in there. But go ahead, babe. Okay.
I guess you scrolling, seeing what's up, so you just naming it.
Yeah, I forgot about him. I did. And
so,
first off.
So if you scrolling, that means you're not listening to me.
I am listening to you, but then I thought about it, and I was like, I need to add somebody else, but I also need to add my gospel artist too. So
okay, who?
So Tasha Cobb, my girl.
What's the name of the album that you love?
What's the name of the? I don't know the name of the album.
Okay.
So for me, and that's with a lot of stuff. Like I might not know the album, but they have songs.
You'll listen.
But yeah.
She dropped a live album.
But I would listen.
2020.
And really like enjoy the songs. But go ahead, go off.
That was the only gospel artist you had?
No. I had other gospel artists. So, but I don't want you to ask me every album because I don't know. Well, I don't know.
Well, we talking our favorite albums of the year. Who the artists? Who the other artists?
So the other artist that I had on repeat is Todd Delaney. He sings a lot of like inspirational songs. Marvin Sapp. But I don't think
Marvin Sapp still dropping out.
I don't know if that album was this year though, so I don't think it was anyways. But yeah, I'll let you. Oh, Mariah the Scientist, she would be on my
Right World.
She would
one of the best albums of the year.
Yeah, she would definitely be on there. And I'm gonna just let you take it away, babe, because I have some other ones, but they're all my gospel picks.
Who are they? Are you just scrolling? If you just scrolling, then let me take it away. But if you have them, if you already did the prep.
So I was looking and I'm like, I don't know if all these albums were last year or if they're just like, very popular songs that I just really love from these artists.
Yeah, so are you going to name them? Or?
Yeah, so I already named Todd Delaney. The other one is Travis Green. He has a really dope song, You Made a Way. I think that was like probably like very inspirational for me, especially going through a lot of stuff that I went through. I had his album on repeat for a bit. Kiara Sheard, that's Karen Clark Sheard's daughter. She
fun fact.
Yeah, it's a pretty good fact. She has an amazing voice, and so she made this song that really resonated for me. It's called "Something Has to Break," and that was when I was having the first surgery. That song actually, you could get a chance to kind of like listen to things or music before they kind of put you down or they give you the anesthesia. So that's a really good song. Just very encouraging, uplifting. Kind of the message is that, God is going to be with you, but, something is going to happen and it's going to turn around for you. So.
Okay. Right, let me run through my albums. I don't know how much time I got left on my cam. But I'm going to run through my albums real quick. Nas, Magic dropped at the end of the year. Just came out Christmas Eve or something like that. One of the best albums of the year. Nas destroyed it. Nas dropped another album this year in the beginning of the year, King's Disease 2, which was also good. An improvement on King's Disease 1. Are you still looking up gospel artists?
Listening to you completely.
I'll say, go ahead and belt them out. Kanye West, Donda.
Kanye West is
cool. Donda was a good album, gospel, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Real good album this year. Alicia Keys actually made my list, man. Alicia Keys was in like that Will Smith zone for me. But she did some good stuff, so she made my list. Keys, it's a real good album. Her album was really good. Mariah the Scientist, Rai World, of course, one of the best albums of the year, man. I don't think a lot of people even know that or acknowledge it. Cleo Soul, Mother, one of the best albums of the year. Most of these are based off of how many times I listen to. Cleo Soul, I might have listened to less than the rest of these albums, but in listening to that album, the music was way better than everything else I'd like almost heard this year. Cleo Soul probably got like one of the top 3 albums of the year, any genre. Tyler the Creator, Call Me If You Get Lost, real good album, well constructed, put together, great. Mock Hami, Pray for Haiti, I love that album, real hip hop stuff right there, like my roots. J. Cole, The Off Season, that lived with me for a minute. Cole dropped top of the year, did his thing. Destin Conrad, Colorway. Destin Conrad, that's probably was outside of the Giveon that dropped in 2020. Destin was like for male R&B, that was probably like me like listening to the most, like consume my life type stuff. My honorable mentions.
Hot water Giveon, but
Giveon was crazy.
But the album was good.
Yeah, my honorable mentions are Adele, 30.
Oh, I forgot about Adele.
Yeah, Adele,
and her
30.
new the album, is that the name of the album she just dropped?
Yeah, it's called 30. Yeah.
So good. Easy on Me. Probably one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, it's a good album. Jasmine, you brought Jasmine up. She wasn't even kind of, her and Summer, like they wasn't even like in my head. Summer was in my head. Summer album was fire. And then Russ, Chomp 2. Like, man, like you can't put that many people together and not make something real good, man. And then Russ just rapping as hard as he can and stuff like that was totally like left field for what we used to from Russ outside of Chomp 1. So it's good to see all of that stuff, man. So it was, for me, all in all, it was a rough year. It started out rough. We got a house. Again, I'm a senior chief. Things happened. It got a little better.
We had some highs and some lows. Lows and then some highs and some in between.
Lost my stepmom. But it got a little better. And I'm looking forward to next year.
Yeah. 2022 seems like it's going to be a much better year.
Yeah, so hopefully we can sit here again next year.
Yeah, we should.
Maybe January could be like a 5-minute, month. You know what I mean? Vice a 45-minute month. But if any of our friends are listening, Hey, have a happy New Year. And
Happy New Year. We love y'all. You know, thanks for rocking with us, supporting us all, you know, through this bumpy year we've had.
Yeah, and I hope you enjoyed this conversation between Queen Angelene and myself. So I love you, baby. And
Love you too, babe.
good luck. You know, let's drink some of our non-alcoholic little champagne and let's have a good day. I don't have. You don't even have nothing to toast, but I knocked it off the little non-alcoholic joint. But we good to go, baby. I love you and peace, all y'all. We see y'all next year.